All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are going to speak about our International Foundation Year in Business today, and I'm very glad to introduce a few people who are joining us today. Our lecturer, Colin Kay, and our student ambassador, Vitalis, who is also studying our foundation year. So Colin joined Lancaster University Leipzig in September last year. He holds a bachelor's degree in business management, a PGCE, and an MBA, and has experience working in sales and marketing, HR and recruitment, small business advising and mentoring, and teaching and leading in international high schools. He is currently completing his PhD at the Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona in conjunction with Universitat Tübingen, and is researching the relationships between individual learning patterns and business competencies in a variety of settings. Colin is an experiential education advocate, particularly interested in the role that self-employment can play in migrant integration and the extent to which marketing influences behavior. And I'm here today, Elvira. I'm a student recruitment manager, Europe, and I'm happy to moderate our meeting. So Colin, would you like to take over?
I will, yes. Thank you for the introduction.
We'll then speak and ask some questions to Vitalis after your presentation then.
Perfect. Let me just share my screen. Okay, can you now just see the slides?
Yeah, everything is good, and I'm going to stop my stop recording myself.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well then, yes, thank you for the introduction there. As you can see, and as I've been introduced, my name is Colin Kay. I'm a lecturer on the foundation program, and my background predominantly has been working with students prior to undergraduate programs in international school settings and now university settings. I work as an examiner, and my research is very much related to the development of particular skills as a result of teaching methods. And these skills are very much related to business in my research. And so to have a role like this at Lancaster University has been a real nice mix of all of these different things. Now, to kind of go back a little bit, give you a bit of information of Lancaster University at a glance, you're probably aware already that Lancaster performs very, very well in the rankings, not only in the UK, but internationally as well. And so of all of the major rankings that Lancaster can be involved in, it performs very, very well. And you can see a top 15 in the UK, 132nd and 122nd respectively, out of over 1,000 universities in these rankings. So it does perform very, very, very well. We recognize that rankings are not everything. Accreditation also says a lot. That means external organizations are saying that there's a stamp of quality in the way in which we conduct ourselves. And we believe that is related to, and we're given feedback, so it's related to both research and our teaching. We're very, very proud of that. Now, typically in universities like this that perform so well, the access to them in the year one phase here tends to be quite stringent and quite limited, and we're quite proud of the fact that we're attempting to be and successfully being more inclusive and looking at what it is that students need to be able to do at this level and taking it back a step and looking at what we can do ourselves internally as part of Lancaster University in order to make sure that students are ready to succeed at undergraduate level. What we don't want is for people to start universities and start undergraduate programs and struggle and it not be the right thing. So we are very proud that we can take a step back, we can look at different things, and we can develop certain skills in the way that is required to be successful in year one. Now, the general objective here then is to prepare students to operate effectively and autonomously at higher education. And the way in which we do that on the foundation program is based on these three methods, these three things here. We're looking at basic conceptual understanding of fundamental business concepts. And so we're looking at things that in the undergraduate program, you will expand upon, you will look at in great depth, you will look at the implications on other areas, and you'll look at the historical connotations of that. And we will introduce you to these topics so there's an understanding of what they are before you get there. we're looking at academic literacy. So we're quite an international university, and we get students that their native language is not English, and that's perfectly fine. But even with native English speakers, we are looking at ensuring that the academic literacy is there from a language perspective to be able to communicate in an academic way. And then the third part of this is the skills. It's the analytical skills and the research skills that are required to enable you to effectively and autonomously work at higher education. And we do that through a range of different things. Now, in terms of our subjects, you can see here, we have actually a huge focus on academic English and skills, and that comes across not just with the business program, that comes in other programs as well. And then we have the business focused areas here in terms of accounting, finance, economics, quantitative methods, business management, and marketing, where we're trying to give you the conceptual understanding, the basics, so you can learn about how that can develop into the undergraduate program, but more so focusing on the skills. And so we're looking to enable you to successfully learn a little bit about the topic, a little bit about the subject, and develop the right skills in order to get onto and successfully complete the undergraduate program. And in terms of the teaching, in doing this, we have a very simple format. It's a lecture seminar format, and what we can see here is actually an example of a seminar that was conducted by one of our lecturers at Ash, whereby he was taking a concept that he had taught, and he was working with the students on applying that through a game method using Monopoly here. And this is, I don't know, I can't speak for all of my colleagues to say whether this is a common theme that is seen, this kind of gamified method, but what is common in here is that we'll have a lecture seminar format where you'll have an hour lecture plus an hour seminar, and then you will look at applying the concept of what you have learned in the lecture into the seminar. And so there's very much a focus of learning the basics, getting the fundamental understanding, and then looking at application. Now, in terms of how that manifests itself, again, I reiterate, I don't speak on behalf of all of my colleagues, because people have different methods and people have different teaching styles. And we're very proud to say that our teaching is of very high quality here, and people will adapt to the student needs as well. But two of the methods that I have seen since I've been here are one method here where the students will be asked to pre-read something prior to a lecture. They will get a basic understanding beforehand, take that information, and then come to the lecture loaded with a little bit of information. During the lecture will then spend the time talking through the concept, maybe through the example of a case study of some description, maybe giving several examples, and the students will then hopefully take some notes, ask some questions, and would like it to be interactive. We do focus on interactivity as much as possible. Sometimes it's not feasible, sometimes it's not the right method, but we do like to focus on interactivity there. And then we take it to the seminar activity, which, as I've said, is the application of the learning and looking at how that translates into a normal life, real life, to the business world, and taking it that step further. Second method is in some ways it's very, very similar, but the lecture becomes the first part where students are introduced to a basic concept through the lecture, and again, interactive, asking questions, checking the learning as you're going along. There may be then some case study reading at the end of the lecture or beginning of the seminar that starts to kind of contextualize the learning in this area. Then you'll have the seminar activity, which will again apply the learning, and then post-reading, the idea of bringing that back round to the theory. So you've started off with theory, you've worked your way through context, through application, and then back to theory again to start to see that rounded process. And this is all good practice for when you get to the undergraduate program, because this is a common theme. There will be more focus on case studies. You will tend to, I would imagine, see things through case studies over several lectures, and this is good practice for that. It's good preparation, and it's developing the right skills as you're going along. Now, in terms of assessment, we do ongoing formative assessments, and what that means is that as lecturers, we work with the students to give them feedback on a regular basis. We do that through our lectures, through asking questions, through the interactive part of the lectures. We do it through the seminar activities where there are clear objectives to be met, and we want to check that the students are able to meet those objectives. And then on top of that, we have summative assessments. And typically on the foundation course, we're looking at 3 summative assessments and a mixture of these different things. These are ones that are around this year. where we've got some presentations, some reports, some case studies, and some exams. And these can be presented in different ways as well. So some presentations might be individual, or they might be group presentations. Some of the reports, again, may be individual, maybe group. The case study exams, for example, may be a takeaway exam. Sometimes that is the closed book examination, the more traditional, historically, examination where students are expected to sit in an exam and answer questions. Sometimes it might be a problem where they have to take it away for 24 hours and come back with a report, very much trying to replicate what you might experience in the workplace in a business environment. And in doing that, we're going back to the same concept. We're looking at developing these skills. So we will try and assess these things as well. So we're not looking at only focusing on the conceptual understanding of the foundation business knowledge, but we're looking and we can, and this is where we very much differ from undergraduate programs, we can and we do look at assessing certain skills. So we may have criteria within our assessments that talks about how well you can present yourself, how well you can defend your arguments, how well you can justify your reasoning, because these are very, very important skills, and we are focusing a lot of our energy and a lot of our teaching on being able to develop these skills in students to better prepare them for the undergraduate program. Now, the final thing from me here is who's this for? And this is one of the questions I get asked quite a lot. And I'm sure some of our students get asked this as well. And I think it's very, very broad. I think it's very broad of who this is for. And I'll give you a bit of context from my own perspective. Back when I was a student, I took a foundation program. I was fortunate enough to be in a position where I could do that. And I was offered the opportunity. And the reason behind me doing it myself was I was unsure what I wanted to study. And it was really about me understanding whether or not I wanted to go the business and marketing route, or whether I wanted to go the accounting or finance route. And so having the exposure really helped me. And I also know from experience that other people on the course were also very keen to do that as well, because we had these different subjects. Economics is in there as well, quantitative methods as well, statistics. And so it gave us an idea of what we were good at, what we liked and what we didn't like, and what we felt we could succeed in. And that was really, really helpful. One of the things that it comes from my experience as well is looking at different educational backgrounds. Now, as I said at the start, I've spent a lot of time working with people prior to coming onto undergraduate programs, and there are a multitude of different criteria that are assessed, and different syllabus content and different syllabi assessment criteria that is actually quite difficult to get students to the right level and to understand how it translates into being ready for an undergraduate program. And so typically people that maybe have gone through a system that is different to the way in which Lancaster teaches would benefit from stepping back and looking at how we do things. It is really good preparation. And some of the good feedback I've had from some of the cohort this year actually is that particularly there's a young woman from South Korea who's come in, and she said that she's really thankful because it's just a completely different concept, the idea of collaborating and presenting for her, and she would have to do this to succeed at undergraduate level. So it's been really, really positive for her. But you can see from here there's a multitude of reasons. There are many more as well, but ultimately one of them, the main thing that comes out of this is join a pathway to undergraduate at Lancaster University. I spoke about inclusivity at the start. This idea that typically universities like this have been quite exclusive. And if we can provide that more inclusive environment, those skills to support people, we want to do that. We're in education to help people be educated and to help develop things. And therefore, if we can offer something like this, then it's a benefit. Okay, that's it from me.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Colin, especially for highlighting this last part, because indeed we very often have these questions from our prospective students: why should I join the foundation year? And in some cases, as you mentioned, it's like their free will. I mean, they choose to start with the foundation. Also, we have different cases when we offer the students the foundation year program because of their national curriculum. For example, certain national curriculums we do not we do not let them progress exactly with the undergraduate program directly from certain countries, and this is like inevitable. Then the students need to join the foundation year program. But indeed, there are a few students coming from really different backgrounds who choose proactively foundation year to get more comfortable. Vitalis, would you like to introduce yourself a bit? How do you find your foundation year, because it's coming to the end almost in a month? You are going to have your exams.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm doing business management foundation, and yeah, I have to say it has been mostly an enjoyable time. Well, definitely an enjoyable time. I've learned a lot, especially mostly, I think most importantly, about the university environment and how you can work and how you operate in the university environment. And I think that's kind of a really valuable thing that you get by doing the foundation. Instead of going straight into the undergraduate program, there's so much that you can do trial and error wise that you wouldn't be able to do in your first year, for example, where everything is always a lot more intense and everything has a lot more impact on future grades. In foundation, there's a lot more space to learn and a lot more time to sort of branch out and find the best way to do things.
Right. Do you have some fellow students who joined the business foundation year, for example, thinking that they will continue with business management, but then they change their minds and they now want to do accounting and finance, or vice versa? Have you heard anything about that?
I mean, well, I haven't heard anything about that from my class, but I do know people who, for example, we have business management foundation. You can kind of branch out into accounting and finance and all business management, and it's kind of your choice because everything that you learn in the foundation course is exactly the same if you're needed for accounting and finance or if you need it for business management. It's all the same material. It's kind of the baseline. It's what you need to learn if you want to be really successful in the first year.
Well, that's true. According to our experience, actually, our foundation year students, when they progress to year one, they perform even, let's say, not better, but they are much more confident and they really perform well after the foundation preparation year. Yeah, that's really nice. Colin, and can you please share with us what excites you the most about teaching at Lancaster University, Leipzig?
Oh, wow. Well, actually, interestingly, or maybe interestingly, I don't know. I moved to Leipzig 8 years ago, and I left 5 years ago to go and live in Vienna. I was offered a great job in Vienna, and I went and became a part of the system in Austria and in Vienna, widely recognized as being one of the greatest cities in the world to live in. I came back to Leipzig because I found Leipzig had more opportunities for people working in business and people working particularly in small businesses and in entrepreneurship, which is a huge passion of mine. And so I ended up coming back here for that reason. And it so happened that Lancaster University was here. Now, growing up in the UK, I was aware of just how well received Lancaster University is in the academic world. And to become a part of it has been really exciting because not only have I seen just why it is received so well, but I've got to be a part of it as well and realize that there's really good people here, people that care about teaching, that care about the students, that care about each other, and they want to develop things in a way that is sustainable and beneficial. And I can't speak highly enough of the students, first of all, and Vitalis, you and I have been working together for the last 7 or 8 months or whatever. And the feedback that we get and the way in which we develop the learning is very, very positive, but also colleagues as well. Colleagues are so helpful. Everyone here is so helpful. They're so supportive. And I think that transcends across between the faculty and the student body here.
Thank you, Colin. May I ask if you speak German as well?
I speak German well, I can speak it, but not particularly well. I'm at B1 level.
You know why I'm asking? Because you said you moved back to Leipzig because there were more job opportunities in business field. And how do you think our students will feel either upon their graduation or when they are looking for student jobs or internships, will be they finding these job opportunities without high German level? Because you said you found it without any problem, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely possible. I mean, what we're finding here is that Leipzig is becoming, I mean, historically it's been very international anyway, but then there was a period of time where it became less international, and then it's becoming more international again now. And as a result of that, particularly in business, the method of communication when it's looking at working with clients outside of the little ecosystem that is Leipzig is absolutely in English. And so more and more people are communicating on a day-to-day basis in English when it comes to the business side of things. Now, if you can also communicate in German with your colleagues, then that is absolutely a bonus. And if you are able to speak German, then obviously there are more companies that will be able to hire you. But generally, in my experience, what I'm seeing is if you can get to a level of B1 in German and you can communicate with your colleagues on a daily basis, the chances are that you have got the opportunity to work on the understanding of business that you've had in your university career and apply that in English whilst communicating in German. That's certainly evident in the tech field, for example, and working in small businesses.
Well, we definitely encourage our students to learn some German also with us. So we offer German level, like A1 level classes in the first year when students speak no German at all. And then we also are going to introduce and encourage the students to reach this B1 level. So the students can learn German, of course, throughout their whole study program. Vitalis, but you don't need to learn German, right? You speak it really fluently.
Yeah, that's true. But I think even if you don't speak it, you will learn it pretty quickly. I mean, yeah, especially if you come here, obviously Lancaster offers German courses, but also in the place that we live in, that most of the students live in, base camp, you also have a lot of Germans. And when there are like parties or gatherings going on, there are obviously going to be people there speaking German. And then you just kind of, through osmosis, get some German knowledge, get some language knowledge, and then over time it kind of builds up and you learn German a lot faster than you kind of expect to, really.
Well, that's really nice. Yeah, some language tandems is also possible to organize. And I heard that the students are going to organize some language clubs soon. Is that true? Do you know anything about it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now everything's kind of ramping up with clubs and everything. And then also we have there are also like new cohorts coming in a couple of months' time. So it's best to get the clubs up and running now before all the new people come in.
Oh, that's terrific. And can you tell us, please, how do you feel like living in Leipzig? You come from West Germany, don't you?
Vitalis or me?
Vitalis, yeah, Vitalis. How do
Me?
you? Yeah. Where do you come from? Which German city? Can you
Well,
remind me, please?
yeah, I was Frankfurt. So I was born in Frankfurt. And then I've lived in West Germany most of my life, basically. And then, yeah, moving to East Germany, it's different. You can tell the difference. But yeah, you can tell it's still Germany. I feel like Leipzig, to be more specific, is a lot more cultural. I'd say they care a lot about their music. They care a lot about their architecture a lot as well. There's a lot of the cultural connection to classical music, classical architecture and stuff is definitely still there. So you can still see it in the architecture and in the museums. So yeah, it's definitely a pretty beautiful place.
Yeah, that's true. I love Leipzig as well. And I actually, from my personal experience, I know some Germans who returned to Leipzig from after living in some other cities here. Well, also it's really affordable, the life costs here, the quality life still the same as, let's say, in Munich, in Berlin, and Frankfurt as well. It's just much, much cheaper. And I hope it stays like that. Well, how do you find then base camp? It's our major student dorm where we recommend our international, especially students, to move to, at least in the beginning of their studies. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good place. They pretty much have everything here. They have, I mean, cinemas, gathering areas, common kitchens, etc., gyms. They have pretty much everything. And even if you need it, there's a shopping center pretty nearby. So you really don't even need to leave the area if you want to get everything that you need to. And then
But
also,
you rather do leave the area to explore some Leipzig.
that's true. I mean, yeah, you can just go to the train station, which is like a minute's walk away, and then you can go 5 minutes and you're in the city basically with the train. So it's pretty convenient. And also, yeah, it's a pretty good place to just meet other students, really.
Yeah, thank you. Well, one of my colleagues, I think he measured how long it takes him to get from base camp to our campus. It was like 12 or 13 minutes with like, so it's really close. But it's much nicer, of course, to bike in such warm weather in Leipzig. Well, when we now return back to the studies, Vitalis, what did you find the most challenging during this first foundation year?
So
New program, yeah.
I think it's definitely had to do with kind of changing the way I study, because from coming from IB, which is what I did previously, it's a very different type of studying. It's focused a lot more on the very theoretical side of things and not really that much on how to interpret things and uh, going into more in-depth explanations by thinking about things for like massive amounts of time and going through massive concepts, and that's the thing that I pretty much found most challenging, just adjusting that.
That's interesting. Thank you. So it's really academic from the very beginning, even on foundation year. Interesting. Okay, so I would like to address our attendees today, participants. If you have any questions to me, to Colin or to Vitalis, please go ahead and write in the question and answer section or in the chat, and then we'll be happy to answer. Do we have anything? I don't see yet. Well, if you are coming from any country in Europe, I will be happy to advise you on our admission process. And if you are an international student coming from outside the EU, this is the responsibility of my colleague. And anyway, we'll be happy to advise you through all application, admission, and enrollment process. Then you can address me. I will forward to my colleague Matan your query. Yeah, we offer a range of scholarships as well, so we'll be happy to review your application, and that depends on which grade you have in the end after your graduation from school. So yeah, please apply online. Our application process is really simple. You just need to submit an online application and attach a few of the documents like passport or ID copy, then final diploma or some provisional grades, as well as then English language certificate, unless you have English in your IB, like Vitalis did. Well, I don't have any questions here in the chat or question and answer section. Colin, would you like to add anything else?
No, nothing other than, I mean, as I said about my colleagues, everybody's really open and helpful here. So if there are any questions that come afterwards, you can direct them to lecturers and to students and to admissions and anybody, and we'll be happy to help.
Yeah, we have our almost all team, I think, already on our website. And when you want to address a certain question to Colin, so it's possible to find Colin's email there, right? And my email as well. So yeah, no email of Vitalis, but if you have some questions to Vitalis after our session today, we also have a wonderful opportunity to communicate with our current students, student ambassadors, and you can go on our website and there is a chat with our current students function. So you can find business management, foundation students, computer science students, and just also students from very different countries. We have around 45 different nationalities actually on campus among our student cohort, and it's possible to also address the students in your mother tongue if you find somebody from your own country. Well, thank you for joining our session today. Colin, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. I think you actually answered all possible questions during your presentation that is that students may have about our foundation year. And Vitalis, thank you also very much for sharing your experience. And have a nice day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.